Good afternoon, my friends. Sorry for the little delay of getting in this seat. I wanted to make sure that my favorite talking music was playing in the background. It's Monday, and I'm really happy to see you here today. I know I can't see you, but you can see me. And I'm Pastor Lou Kilgore, faithfully broadcasting to you from a virtual setting here in the sanctuary of the High Mountain Presbyterian Church, which is on Franklin Lakes Road in Franklin Lakes. The life is in the alternative right now. The alternative version of it keeps changing, but we are in an alternative kind of reality. Sometimes I forget how much things are still altered. Restaurants are going to try to open up. Schools are trying to open up. We're trying to pick our way back to a kind of a more less concerned interaction with each other in the society. But it's still altered reality. We don't have in-person worship here at the church. And I guess we'll see how things go as we get into September. We are doing online worship services. I'll be restarting to maybe 3 versions of online Bible studies, but they will be live broadcasts like this. Conversation will take place by you sending me or communicating by email or text to me what your comments, questions are, and I'll keep my phone here. You can text me, and we'll try it that way. It's a little less stressful for me, even though it's not my first mode of operating. It's my alternate mode of operating. Oh. So, how are you today? It's Monday, start of a new week. Wonder what this week holds for us. This weekend was full of some interesting surprises. I wonder if every year there are as many events that happen as I feel are piling up, things that are happening that just seem to all be merging together. You know how they say things come in threes? Well, in 2002, things come in 23s. It's just amazing to me. And maybe it's just me. I don't know. But when I test it out with other people, it's an alternate time. There's an alternate level of reality. And in that alternate reality, some people are coping better than others. I'm probably on the coping and then not coping side, back and forth. But I was aware, this is sort of the pastor talking to you, and you haven't said anything yet, sitting here in your chair, so I'll just go ahead and talk. But I'm aware that in my life, I don't know about you, but it's a challenge for me to be in the presence of someone who gets really angry. When I hear someone is angry and shouting off in the distance, all of the alarm bells go off inside of me. It's not easy to stay focused on the fact that that person is angry, and maybe it doesn't even have anything to do with me, but it sends off alarms, fight or flight alarms in me. A couple of years ago, well, let me first say, I'm talking about this because, of course, it always might just be me, but I'm having more interactions with people, seeing their interactions that are really angry. They get angry and things set them off. But when they get set off, their angry response is out of proportion to what's happening. There it is. That's what I want to talk about. So therapists and pastors and those of us that are in the listening profession are always aware about this thing of incongruence. If your reaction, and this can be any kind of reaction, happy or sad, but today I'm thinking specifically about angry. If your reaction is a mushroom cloud in response to something quite small, then we get busy paying attention. Sometimes when people come in and they want to talk about the fact that they're angry, or they even want to demonstrate that they're angry, I try to evaluate and help them to evaluate whether their anger is in proportion to the event they describe. If you're in the grocery line at the store and you're waiting and you're trying to keep the 6-foot distance, and then because you kept a 6-foot distance, somebody doesn't see you because you're 6 feet back, maybe in the aisle, and then they step into the space between you and the other person with their back to you and think they're waiting in line. Now, if your response to that is to say, "Excuse me, I think you didn't know there's a line here," and offer it that way, or if your response to that is to, grab the person by the shoulder and throw them out of the way, or to begin to yell at them before they ever have a chance to say anything and describe them in terms of the mushroom cloud of reaction, and most of the people around you will recognize that your response is out of proportion. It's out of proportion. It's the family systems counseling word is, it's incongruent. What's coming out from within you is not equal to the sum of the parts of what's happening around you. And it's my experience that of the people I'm interacting with and watching, that's happening to us a lot. Our responses are telling a story about a level of stress or unhappiness or pressure, whatever you want to call it, that is going on inside of us in this altered reality that is trying to find expression, but when it comes out, it tries to use little tiny, normally personal interactions with each other, and it's like a 12-volt electrical system all of a sudden getting 440 volts, and the wires melt and everything just says, no, we can't handle that. For whatever reason in my life, when other people are angry, and I'm not even talking about angry at me, although it's the same when they're angry with me, but for the most part, as a pastor, I sit and talk with people, try to help them to express and get that boilermaker of anger and frustration out in the open. Believe it or not, it does help to diffuse it. It doesn't always, and sometimes you kind of have to come back for more. And I try to be, in my office, in chairs like this, in settings like this, a place where you can vent. Say what you need to say. That reminds me that when people come into my office and they need to talk like that, they often want to use words that are not generally appropriate in public, and then I invite them to come, let it rip, and then the swear words and the curse words come out, and then they're like, "Oh no, I just did that in front of the pastor." This is a setting where I want to invite you to think about those feelings, and sometimes you just need to swear. I remember my, my grandfather had a very good neighbor. I think his name was Ellis. His first name was Ellis. And on the road where my grandfather lived, the farms lined up were pretty much all family farms that belonged to either my grandfather or his brother, and they still pretty much do today. But at the end of the road, this farmer Ellis, a really nice young guy, had bought the farm, and he was trying to make a living as a new guy on a farm. And he started out, he had cows, but he also bought machinery like a combine. It's a harvester machine. And it's a kind of machine not every farmer back then bought because it cost so much, but he bought it, mortgaged it, and then would use his machine to farm other people's farms. And one day he was on my grandfather's farm, and this great big harvester machine just busted. And he was underneath the harvester, where it's just dangerous to go anyway, laying on his back with the stubble of the wheat poking him in the back, and he's laying like this. He's covered with grease. And, excuse me, the wrenches for this machine were as big as the machine itself, big steel open-end wrenches. And he had it up above his head like this, and the grease in his hands, and he was putting pressure on it, and it slipped, and it came out, came down and hit him on the head. It had to hurt really bad. And my grandfather was there watching. I was like a kid underneath looking to see what was going on. And I looked over at this farmer, this young farmer man, father of several kids, who'd just been whacked in the head with a wrench. And he did not say a word. He just kind of shook his head a little bit like that, and then found the wrench and kind of went, he had to be dizzy, but he went back up at the wrench again. And my grandfather, who was a Presbyterian elder, a man of faith, but I learned to swear from my Presbyterian elder grandfather. He had a favorite set of 6 or 7 things that he would say, none of which were allowed in my household, but my grandfather would say them. He would let them rip. If he had gotten hit on the head with a wrench of that size, underneath there on a hot day with a stubble of wheat in his neck, oh my goodness, the string of expletives that would have come out of his mouth. But Ellis didn't say a word. My grandfather said to him, you know, Ellis, if you don't figure out how to cuss, you're going to live a short life. You got to figure out how to find some way to respond when things like that happen, to let the steam off, or you're going to die young. Oh, you know, the things that children listen in on when adults are talking, and you never know, you just never know how much of what you say as an adult to another adult within earshot of a child is going to be etched into that child's memory. And that was etched into my memory. It's a part of my life. It's a part of how I do pastoral counseling. It's about a part of my encouragement to my friends. It's not figure out how to swear. It's you got to figure out how to get it out in proportion. Unless you let it build up, then you're going to be in the grocery store and someone is going to accidentally step in front of you in the COVID distancing line, and you're going to throw them across the store and get all kinds of incongruent response going on in your life. So how you feel today? What can I do to help you to vent some of the things you're feeling? Oh, I know, on either side of the political, people are really, really unhappy. Politics, we are all really unhappy. Feel like whatever the outcome is, it better go my way, or I'm not going to be able to live in this country. I know. In feelings about that are bubbling over into regular places of our lives. So when something happens, someone cuts us off on the road, on purpose or by accident, we are finding less and less of the stuff that we normally use to be able to keep our responses congruent to what's happening. So, my prayer for you today is, I don't know, maybe you're sitting on the other side of this camera and you are taking advantage of the privacy in your house or wherever you're watching this, and you can take advantage of it and you can begin to talk about what's going on, and maybe even that would be enough outlet for you. You don't have to have me hear it. Maybe you want to send me a letter. Send me a letter. Some of you have been doing that. Oh, I've gotten such beautiful letters. But if you want to send me a letter, and, you know, I can't take it anymore letter, send it to me. Because I believe that that's a process that we need to go through in order to remain congruent in our lives. We need to have our insides be able to respond adequately and appropriately to what's going on the outside. Otherwise, our world will fall apart. Our ability to function in society will cease. And we just move back to kind of guttural responses to each other. Animalistic, impulse responses. That's my words for today, my friends. We've got a whole week. Think about how you're doing. Think about if you're one of those people for whom the pressure cooker inside over things you've been disappointed with, or privileges that you've lost, or regular creature comforts that are no longer a part of your life, and you don't feel good about it. You're angry about it. So what are we going to do? How can we help you? How can I help you? At least I feel like I can help you by pointing you in the direction right now, unless you're throwing things around in your house while I'm talking. Goal in family systems counseling is to try to create environments where your insides can match your outsides and everything is safe. Where you can learn how to say, I'm really angry, or I'm frustrated, or you need to stop that, or please don't do that, or I'm feeling suffocated, or whatever it is that's the language that comes with it. So that you can, when it's smaller, get it out, so people can see it, and then can find its way to normalize in your life. It doesn't mean that things that are upsetting you are going to change, but that you learn how to accommodate a little better to what is happening. So that's my prayer for you today. Now, what's happening on the inside of you will find a way to come out. Writing, cursing, I don't know. When the wrenches fall on your head, I want to encourage you to figure out how to make your life long by finding a good, appropriate way to express it and get it to the outside where it can be dealt with, coped with. I think that's more of the integrity of relationship that God is inviting us to. They seem to be much better at it in the Hebrew Scriptures. Throughout the Hebrew Scriptures, from Moses and Noah and Job especially, but Abraham, they really do. They bring it out right in front of God. They just bring it out. I can't take this anymore. And it has integrity in the relationship with God, because God also sometimes says, hey, I can't take this anymore either, what you all are doing. But that's all inside the parentheses of a very good and honest relationship with God. So send me an email if you need to. Have a conversation with the pastor sitting right there in your room where you are. And may the blessing of God just shower down upon you to help you with what you need. To give forgiveness, to breathe, to relax, to find a way of being calm about the uncertainty of the future, dealing with financial pressures and stress, illness, maybe it's illness yourself. Whatever it is, that's my prayer today. That's my prayer, God. That's my prayer for them, for me, for us, and for the world. God bless you, my friends, on this Monday. If God somehow sees the way clear, I'll be back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock to check in with you, and then you can listen at your leisure. God bless you.